What up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. Hope you're having a great Thursday today and you are ready to get going on these topics because these are some interesting ones. So I'm going to go ahead, like I always do, wait a few minutes, let y'all get in here, and then we will get into everything. So if you are in the chat, say hi, consider giving the video a like. I know you haven't seen it yet, but I would appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get started. Make sure everything is going good. Wait, is Naja live right now? I think the Voodoo Child is live right now. Dang. Is she? Oh, she's premiering. Okay, I can go back and watch it. Hi, Kaylin. Hey, Oscar. Hey, Siobhan. Hi, guys. I'm glad y'all are like right on time. Alrighty. The video that I did on Tuesday was a little bit different from like what we usually do. Like that one was really, really intense and I had a lot of notes, but I was really happy because a lot of you guys commented and said that it was nice to like have all the notes in order because it made it easier to watch the replay. And so that made me really happy because that's what I love. Like I love being able to hang out with you guys and interact, but if people can watch it later because they can't make the live, like I want it to be worth it for them. So that was really awesome. Hi Megs, I'm glad you caught the live too. Oscar said I turned your tweet notifications on earlier. Good. All right, so we'll wait just a little bit longer and then we'll get started. Everything looks like it is working good. Oscar, you like inspired me a little bit to get some coffee because I usually don't drink coffee this late, but I was like, I think I need a cup. Like Oscar and I had a little chat on Twitter about iced coffee and stuff. I was like, I think I need some, so I'm drinking it. Tatum Gee said, hi B, glad my Wi-Fi is actually working so I can watch this time. Yay for your Wi-Fi. Sarah on time. Hi Sarah. Hi Courtney. Oscar said I drink way too much coffee. I've been trying not to drink a ton. Like I know this is such a boring piece of information, but I have really like soft enamel on my teeth. So like I don't drink any pop. I try not to like drink too much coffee, but it's just so good. It's so good. I try to limit myself to 2 cups a day, but I gotta drink it. Kaylin said, oh, a story that I haven't seen anyone cover, but an influencer visited Hawaii and got arrested for breaking self-isolation. I'm going to make a note to look into that. Oscar said, I love your mug. Thank you. I just got it. Like, I love it because it has a little donut hole in the middle, so, like, you can see through it. I think it's really cute. And the donuts are really good. They have such good vegan donuts at Voodoo Donuts. So good. Hi Chantal, I'm glad you're in here. Hi Kona, hi Meg. Siobhan said green tea. It's not the same. I love tea. I will drink a lot of tea, but it's just not the same. Kona said I can never give up my Dr. Pepper entirely. You'll catch me dead first. Okay, so I used to be like that with Diet Coke. Like Diet Coke every day, at least 32 ounces, like at least a big cup of Diet Coke. Ugh, I used to love it so much, but I'm somebody who, like, if I'm giving something up, I just gotta, like, I can't, like, wean off of it. I just gotta say, okay, I'm done and I'm not gonna do this anymore. And one day I was just like, you know what? This isn't good for me. I gotta stop drinking it. And I haven't had Diet Coke in, since 2016. I have, like, Sprite sometimes, but not Diet Pop, or not Diet Coke. Hey guys, said I'm really tired after work, so I might make myself a cup. I just love it. Kaylin said iced coffee all year long. That's how my sister is. I love a good hot coffee, but iced coffee is incredible. Sam McGee said I'm still like that with Diet Coke. I'm trying so hard to stop. It is hard. Like stopping like something that you drink every day or something that you do every day, it's hard. Kaylin said there's something about Diet Coke that makes people addicted. I think it's like the aspartame. Hi, Chris Six. I'm glad you're in here. And Oscar said, soda makes my stomach hurt. I used to drink it so much root beer as a kid. And Chrisick said, honestly, for real, I like iced coffee so much. It's so good. I like, finally, when we started working from home, this is the last thing I'll say, like, unrelated to what we're talking about. But I typically just drink coffee black, like this is black coffee. Just because, like, I like it that way, plus not getting a ton of, like, extra sugar or whatever. But when I started working from home, I was like, I need something to, like, spice up my life. And so I got a bunch of stuff, like, to make fancy coffee. And I really, really like it. Like, it makes you feel a little bit bougie. I got, like, a little hand mixer to, like, make cold foam and, like, pumps of syrup. It's so good. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So, we are going to be talking about Jake Paul, Laura Lee, and Ryland Adams. We're going to go ahead and start with Jake Paul. This isn't something that needs a ton of backstory, so typically, I like to do the thumbs up, thumbs down if you've heard of it, if you, like, know the general gist of the story, but there's not a ton of backstory, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know, like, what's going on and what I know. Oscar said, I put oat milk in my coffee. Okay, this is for real the last thing I'll say unrelated. I used to just do, like, almond milk, and I don't really like almond milk. Like, it's decent. I'll eat it in cereal because you can't really taste it, but I could never put it in my coffee. Like, it never tasted good. Coconut milk always was, like, not my favorite. And then, oh my gosh, on Instagram, her Instagram handle is, like, Art School of Doom. I'm trying to remember what her, like, human name is, but she suggested oat milk, and it's so good. It is so good. Okay, so you guys are talking about Chris Hansen's live stream. No, I didn't see it, but I'll look into that. I'll see what's up with it. Hey guys said almond milk is literally cardboard. It's not great, but they sell it at Costco in, like, a 6-pack, so it's whatever. Jake Paul, the other day was raided by the FBI, and I have some theories about it, because the thing is, like, if you remember a few weeks ago, he was in Arizona. He was at, like, Scottsdale Fashion Square, which is a decent amount, like, it's not, like, far away from downtown where a lot of the protests were taking place, but it's far enough away that, like, you wouldn't walk there from downtown. Like, you would have to drive over there. You would have to intentionally go there, if that makes any sense. Like, you wouldn't just be able to run to Scottsdale Fashion Square from downtown Phoenix, which is where a lot of the protests were happening. But him and his friends were there. They were in a mall that had been looted. They said they weren't looting. Blah, blah, blah. Jake Paul ended up getting arrested by, like, Scottsdale Police Department. And then a few days ago, he got raided by the FBI. And basically what happened with that is that Arizona, like Scottsdale, Arizona, said that they are dropping the charges against him. And they said that, like, the reason they're doing it is because they're going to drop them, but they'll still be able to refile charges later. Basically, they just don't want to get in the way of the FBI. So, like, a lot of the documents related to this warrant were sealed by a judge. So police officers and, like, FBI agents couldn't say what they were looking for. They couldn't say what the warrant was for. Like, they literally couldn't give any information out about it because it was sealed by a judge. But they found a ton of guns in there. And I don't know, like, from my understanding and from people I've talked to, if they were just there for the guns, it would be the ATF that would typically go in and, like, seize them. From my understanding, I could be completely wrong, because the ATF is for, like, firearms. Oh my gosh, what does it stand for? TF. I don't know. It's for, like, firearms and other weapons, like illegal weapons and stuff. Like, they were the people who did David Koresh. They did Ruby Ridge. Like, they're there for illegal weapons. So with the FBI, it must be something related to drugs or, like, going across state borders. I don't know. Do you guys have any guesses on what it would be? I love that you guys are still talking about milk. Jaden McGee said, I would love to know why the FBI were there. I'm so interested. Right. Lisa said, I saw that covered on my local news, and I thought, of course, they would run a crazy news story about YouTubers. Potato McGee said, people kept saying drugs, but wouldn't that be the DEA? Ava said, wouldn't that, or that's so weird, they're not allowing any information out. Usually that's only done if it could cause the damage, if, oh my gosh, why can't I read? That's only done if it could damage the cause. Do they think maybe guns were used for something illegal since it looked like they took the guns? AWOL said apparently one guy in the house was a pimp or something. Oh my gosh. Siobhan said if he had drugs and guns together, it's a much larger charge. And Chantel said, was he arrested? Not yet. They said that they have no plans as of now to issue any arrests, like arrest warrants. So I really don't know if it's like actually related to Jake Paul or if it's related to somebody who was there, or like, I don't know if he owns that house, if he's renting it. Apparently they also looked into the house that they were at in Vegas for the wedding, the graffiti mansion. Oh my gosh, thank you, Callie. Alcohol, firearms, and tobacco. I was trying to think, I'm like, like, I just blanked so hard. Thank you, ATF. Alcohol, firearms, tobacco. Okay. But what I was thinking is, so in Arizona, gun laws are like mad lax. Like, they are so lax, you can literally conduct a private sale and like you don't have to tell anybody. If I like wanted to sell a gun to somebody else, I could like hit them up on Facebook and say, hey, you want to buy this gun? And then we could meet in a parking lot and we could do it like that. And the smart thing to do when you're doing that is to like get a notarized bill of sale, so that way it's like responsible and you know you're selling it to somebody who isn't gonna like go do something crazy with it. But I thought, what if Jake got these guns in Arizona and then took them to California and didn't register them? Like, I think that could be a part of it, because like those were the only pictures they had of what they were taking from the house. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if they found drugs in there too, but California is really strict on their gun laws. So I think that those firearms would be okay to have, but if they're not registered, it could be a big problem. But I also don't know, like, if they would have raided him for that. If the FBI would have, like, raided the house just for that. I just think that's a little part of it that could come up later. Kaylin said, Jake Paul represents all that I hate in the world. Oscar said he's an ignorant white dude. That's so funny. AWOL said, Callie, can you not grow your own tobacco? I've always wondered why tobacco was listed, maybe for minors. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, maybe like certain regulations for tobacco, or like where they're sourcing it. Chantel said, that's sketchy. Yeah, like, I think everything surrounding him is sketchy, obviously. Chuggy Vibe said, YouTuber houses bring so much drama. For real. Like, it's YouTuber houses where multiple people live are just a bad idea in general. We've seen this over and over again. Meg Kelly said, why on earth would he need guns? And what kind of guns did they find? So I don't know all the kinds of guns that they found, but they found rifles. So not just like handguns. They found big ones, and there was like one that was propped up against the jacuzzi, just like out. And so my thing is, if Jake Paul wants to have a gun, you know, whatever. Like, you can't just decide because you don't like somebody, they can't legally obtain a gun. So if he legally obtained it, whatever. If he has all the, you know, registration for it, that's fine. But I don't understand what you're doing with guns just sitting out. Like, why do you need them out in the middle of the house where people are coming in and out constantly? People are on drugs, people are drinking. Like, that's so incredibly irresponsible. So I literally don't know. If he wants to have a gun, it's his constitutional right, but like, you're being an idiot with it. Why is it out? Why is it by a hot tub? Why is it presumably loaded and propped up against your hot tub out in the open. Druggy Web said he has parties all the time and leaves guns everywhere. Exactly. Like, that is so irresponsible. Siobhan said Jake is also a country Ohio boy who acts like he still lives in the country with no neighbors. Yeah. Like, he has no consideration for the people around him. Courtney said it's very concerning, so many weapons that weren't registered and seemingly just laying around the house with him drinking. It's very dangerous, and how impulsive he is potentially deadly. I don't like it. Yeah. And I can't say whether they were registered or not. That's just my theory, is that, you know, he didn't want to go to an actual store in California, wait for the background check, do all that stuff. He just wanted to do a private sale, which are super easy here. So I didn't, like, that's just my theory. This has not been confirmed by anybody. That's just what I'm thinking, is he just popped over here during the protests, bought some guns. Maybe he did it at a different time, I don't know, but went back and then didn't register them, is my theory. Not proven, not a fact, just an opinion that I made up in my own head based on no actual factual evidence. Oscar said he could literally get someone killed being so irresponsible with firearms. He makes me nervous. Yeah. And that's, like, going back to what Courtney said, he's very impulsive. He is, like, he's wild, he's spontaneous, he has no consideration for others. And so this could have turned into a very, very bad thing. But I also don't know, like, if that's the reason that they were searching his house. I'm assuming it's probably related to drugs. Maybe, I don't know, like, not all of his friends are over the age of 21, so there's a ton of underage partying going on, but that happens all the time anyway, like in LA especially, so I have no idea, but we'll have to see what comes out. I'm definitely gonna be, like, keeping an eye on it and seeing what else they say. Hi, Grace. I'm glad you're lurking. Tatum McGee said, even ignoring someone accidentally firing a gun left out in the open, someone could steal it as well. Why would you be so irresponsible? Yeah, that is an awesome point. AWOL said, I feel like if they were registered, they wouldn't have them confiscated. I mean, if it was relevant to their investigation, I could see them still taking them, or if it was just like, get anything related to XYZ, take it, and we'll figure it out later. So they could be registered. Meg Kelly said, would the FBI typically get involved, or is it because he's public? I think that would depend on the charges. So we'll have to see what they end up charging him with to determine if it's because he's high profile or because it's a typical FBI thing. Anyone said, oh, but if he was just breaking state laws, would the FBI get involved? Like, I get that he crossed state lines with the guns, but it just seems like that would be a state issue. I think once it crosses into a different jurisdiction, like, the FBI could say we're taking it, and I think once you go across state lines, depending on, like, I mean, I'm not like a lawyer, or I don't have definitive proof of anything, but I think if you buy a gun with the intent to take it to a different state where maybe like the number of rounds you can fit in the magazine is illegal, like if he has an extended magazine for the gun where you can put more bullets in it, certain amounts are not allowed in California. And so if you buy something in Arizona that you know is not legal in California, or you buy it with the intention to take it across the state line, then I think the FBI would have a right. But I'm not sure. Yeah, well, so basically I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me that it's just guns, if that makes sense. I don't think it's just guns either. I think it's something else, but that's just my theory on, like, for a small part of it. Because we don't have any pictures of anything else that was taken. We don't have documentation of what they were looking for. We don't have, they've made no arrests, so we don't have really any information other than he got raided by the FBI and Scottsdale dropped the charges. So it's just a speculative conversation. I'm not sure about anything else other than like the actual facts that I've been able to find. Adulter said, thank God you started a bit later because now I finally caught alive again. Yay! I'm glad you're in here. I'm glad you were able to catch it. I think I said the only thing I know about the FBI are from Criminal Minds, so nothing. Daniel McGee said, also, I'm pretty sure if you buy a gun in another state, you have to immediately get it registered in your state, so it makes sense they were confiscated. Yeah, depends on the state law. But in California, they are very strict. So you have to register. You can't have an unregistered gun. There are certain states where it's allowed, so it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But again, they could have been in his house for a completely different reason, and the warrant could have just covered anything that was related to guns, illegal substances, like alcohol, like the warrant just could have said anything suspicious, bring in, and we'll figure it out later. So, yeah, Siobhan said, did someone say anything? Did someone say something about Jake's taxes? Somebody said he had a lot of money in unpaid taxes. So that is going to be super interesting to see. But moving on, because there's not a ton of information about that other than what my guesses are. I wanted to have a little conversation about Laura Lee. And I'm going to be really interested to hear what you guys have to say and what you guys think about her, because Laura Lee was in the original Dramageddon. And she took a pretty big hit, I think. I mean, it was Nikita, Gabriel Zamora, Laura Lee, and Manny MUA were the people involved in the original Dramageddon. And I feel like overall, she kind of took one of the hardest hits from it. And like, obviously, Manny got called out a ton. But when you think about him, you don't really relate it to Dramageddon all the time, at least in my opinion. And Gabriel Zamora, I don't, like, he's still an influencer, but he's not really talked about in any sort of way, so it's not like he's hated. It just kind of seems like he's ignored. But with Laura, I feel like people still think of her in relation to that. Like, that's what their whole opinion of her is based on. And when you bring her up, like, obviously one of the first things that comes to your mind is her apology video. So I want you guys to let me know what you think of her right now. Like, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's indifferent, like, what is your opinion on her as of today? Just let me know real quick. Chloe TK said, am I tripping, or does your mug have a hole in it other than the normal one? Yeah, no, it's got a hole in it. It's like a donut hole, because it's from Voodoo Donuts in Portland. Espert said, hi, yes, I'm glad YouTube is taking down prank videos. They should get rid of family vlogging channels too. Yeah, those prank videos are too much. Tools McPhee said, all I know about her is the apology. Meg Kelly said, neutral to good. Her relationship with her niece has improved her image for me. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to wait for a few more of you to get your opinions in. Kaylin said, yeah, I feel very whatever about Laura Lee. Chloe TK said, it's so cute. Thank you. I love it so much. Druggy Vibe said, honestly, have no opinion on her, but just not interested. Chantel said, I know nothing about her right now, to be honest. Taylor McGee said, I'm kind of indifferent towards Laura Lee right now, but I haven't heard much from her lately. Oscar said, I know she was friends with Gabby in her apology. Sean said, she fine. Myra said, the way she was treated during the original drama was excessive, but I never really watched her content and still don't. Adultish said, because I only saw Laura Lee cry on the floor, I truly can't say what I think about her. Okay, gotcha. Oh, Yvonne said, OMG, I made a live. I missed your last couple. Hi. Hi, I'm glad you're in here. Okay, so it's really kind of neutral at this point. And then Sarah said, I find her kind of annoying. Oops, don't really enjoy her content. The apology video definitely turned me off of her. Callie said, I think Laura's been the only one to learn her lesson, stay out of drama. Okay. This is like neutral to good, and that's honestly kind of more than I was expecting, because basically, I mean, obviously Dramageddon happened where they posted that picture saying that BZ is bitter because without him we're doing better or whatever, directed towards Jeffree Star. Everybody started calling them out. Jeffree started calling them out. They started digging through a lot of people's past tweets and bringing some really like racist things up that they had tweeted in the past. And Laura Lee tweeted, from what I remember seeing, 3 jokes that were racist. And of course, like, that's not cool. But other people had racist jokes in their past too, or like racist comments in their past too. And I feel like she kind of got hit the hardest. Like, she had the biggest impact. Immediately, Ulta pulled a brand collaboration that they were doing with her down. She lost all of her sponsors. She had a partnership with Diff Eyewear, and I'm gonna be so real with you. I started watching Laura Lee maybe like 3 months before this happened, and I bought those sunglasses that she has. Like, I bought one of the colors that she had made with this collaboration, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe if she gets canceled, they'll put her sunglasses on clearance so I can get the other 2, because these are the only ones that look good on my face. Didn't happen. They cut her quick, and I feel like in terms of like the public eye, she has never been able to really gain that status back that she had before. But I was definitely curious because she doesn't get a ton of hate. Yeah, people make fun of her for that video, but I didn't know if you guys or other people really had an opinion on her, if you feel like she has kind of earned forgiveness, if she has shown that she has changed, if you had any opinions on that, because she put out this terrible video. We all have seen it. But then she put out a little bit more of a serious, like, notepad apology on Twitter. And I can, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to justify people saying things that, like, I wouldn't have said. So, like, I don't ever want to be too lenient or too harsh on somebody just because I've never been in that exact experience. So she said things that were bad, that she claims were common jokes that were made where she grew up. And she grew up in Alabama, so I can kind of see her just kind of growing up with that language and thinking it was okay and thinking it was funny, like being ignorant to how hurtful those things are. And then when she gets to LA and she's in a more diverse area, understanding, like, this isn't how the rest of the world is. Like, the rest of the world doesn't think like my hometown does, and evolving. So for me, like, I can't speak to whether she's earned forgiveness or not, because the jokes weren't directed at white people. But in my opinion, I feel like this is kind of what you want. You want somebody to learn from the things in the past, and then throughout their actions going forward, not make that same mistake again. So I'm just curious to see what you guys think. Siobhan said, cough, sexism, cough. I wasn't gonna say it, but I agree. Maya said she has a family now. She's kind of just living her life as a mother figure, and honestly, good for her. Oscar said, I didn't realize she was a mom now. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. Potato McGee said, do we know how old she was when she made the jokes? Just wondering if she was an adult or not at that time. I believe the jokes were from 2012. Let me look. Like, I can give you a direct answer, hopefully. Let's see. Laura Lee. She is 31 years old now, and the tweets were from Let's see. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up to see. Because I know that somebody put out like screenshots of them. Okay, they were from 2012, so they're from 8 years ago. She would have been, what, like 23? Yeah, that's kind of old. That's kind of old. As I said, so probably early 20s. Yeah, she was 23. However, I mean, that's tough. I wonder when she moved to LA, because I know she was an adult when she moved to LA. And I know that she like tweeted them as a joke, but 23 or 22, 23 is kind of old to be tweeting that. But Siobhan said, wow, remember when Laura Lee's tweets were the worst things we'd seen? We were so young then. Right. I'm like, do you know how much crap we have seen from other people come out? And like, they're insensitive, absolutely, but they're mild compared to some of the stuff that we have seen come out. Chantel said, I never really watched her at any point, so my perspective might be off, but I didn't think she was as popular as the others. That could be. But yeah, so since then, she kind of like... Since then, she did her apology. She was off of YouTube for a little bit. She said she was going to do like some outreach work within her community, like, well, not her specific community, but like in downtown LA. She was going to do some charity work with like the homeless people and just kind of like volunteering at a shelter. And she said she was going to make a series about it. I don't really think that ever fully came to fruition. So I'm just kind of hoping that she like did it in private. I mean, I don't feel, it feels exploitative to do that in my opinion. So I'm hoping she just kind of realized that that was the case and did it in private. But since then, she has taken custody of her niece. Her niece is named Erin. She's 14 years old. She's a teenager. She's in high school. And basically, like, I feel like she just kind of keeps to herself. And she even did a video, because I don't really keep up with her a ton, but we've been over this before. Sometimes it takes me forever to watch stuff, and I finally watched the video that she put out about why they adopted Erin and like what was going on with Laura's sister and all this stuff. And it kind of like kicked up something in me to like watch some of her other content. And she did a Q&A, and she was like, I don't like drama. Like, I learned my lesson. I stay out of it. I just, I hang out with my family. I hang out with my friends off of the internet. I don't put a ton of stuff out there, and I work on my brand, and I'm okay if I'm irrelevant. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, I like the fact that she realized those things weren't okay, and like getting into the drama and the obsession, I guess, with being at the top of the beauty world doesn't really matter. Like she had said, she's like, I was, smart with my money. I've invested my money, and if I had to stop doing YouTube today, I'd be okay. And so I really like when people understand that, like, you don't have to be at the top. Like, there are so many more important things in life than being at the top of the beauty community or being at the top of whatever community you're in. And like, family is a really great thing to focus on instead of the cattiness and the pettiness of everything. Oscar said, I'm glad she didn't. Yeah. Like I said, it would have been like, it just would have felt gross if she made a whole series on, look at me, I'm volunteering at a homeless shelter. Like, go do that in private. And, and maybe she did change from the time that she made those tweets to when Dramageddon happened. But it's always good to, like, do things that you don't typically do. It's always good to give back to people. Potato McGee said, she seems like she's gotten a lot better, though, and has actually shown growth since then, unlike some people, so I'll give that to her. Yeah. Oscar said, I was like, when did she get pregnant? Yeah, not pregnant. She just, like, she adopted, her and her husband adopted their niece. Obviously, they, like, took temporary custody of her first and then went on to adopt. Kaylin said, I sort of just wish that one day one of these YouTubers would just acknowledge and own their past racism head on. I'm very tired of justification and excuses. Yeah, I mean, my question is, like, what would they say if they owned it? Because, like, I feel like when people acknowledge what they did in the past, whether they try to, because I've seen some people try to own it. I've seen some people try to say, like, I was ignorant then and I didn't know. I've seen some people say, oh, well, I had, like, a misunderstanding of what these words meant. Like, I feel like I've never seen really a good response to somebody getting called out for something that was insensitive. Like, I've never seen a response that, or something that was racist, just straight up, if that's what it was. Like, I've never seen somebody have a good response to that. So I'm wondering, like, what they could say that would, I don't know, like, that would not lead them to instant cancellation. Because obviously they'll come back from the cancellation. But, like, people like to get really up in arms about it initially. And then at some point, it's kind of like, if they like the person enough, they'll let it go. And if they don't, then they hate them forever, if that makes any sense. Oscar said the people she was surrounding herself with at the time really did not help. Yeah. Siobhan said she's made her real world bigger. It helps with a sense of reality. Yeah, that's an awesome point. Potato McGee said, I just wonder if her past would have been brought up if she hadn't been involved with Jeffree. I don't know. I mean, because that is one thing I don't get. Like, when people go digging for old tweets, like, if it's related to something that's currently happening, I guess I get it. But, like, I've never thought, let me go back and see who this person was 8 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I just take them at face value. And I don't know. I mean, saying, like, dumb things and insensitive things and saying racist things are very different. So I don't necessarily want to speak to that because I don't necessarily feel like it's my place to have a strong opinion on whether it's okay or not. Like, on whether we can forgive them for that or what they have to do in order to be forgiven. But when it comes to, like, other stupid stuff, it's like we've all made bad jokes. We've all said something mean. We've all been unnecessarily cruel. So when it comes to stuff other than racism, I'm like, why are you going that back? And why do you care that much? Like, just take them at who they are now. Unless it informs who they are now. Like, if they're completely different, that's one thing. But if they've shown a common pattern, then I get it. Oscar said, hi, Liberty. Sorry, she was kind of loud. Oscar said, Jenna Marbles maybe, but she wasn't even being called out that much. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, like, exactly what she said. Because, like, I feel like her video was kind of tainted by what was going on in the community. Like, I respect her so much for wanting to say that, like, I was making jokes at the time. These aren't funny. These are gross. And I don't want anybody to feel bad when they look at my YouTube channel. And so I've taken them down. Like, I respect her so much for just coming out and saying it. But I also feel like because it was at the time that all the Shane Dawson stuff was starting to ramp up, it got mixed up. Like, her message got mixed. And people are saying, you guys ran Jenna off the platform, when people weren't doing that. Like, some people, like she said, I never saw it, but she said some people approached her about those videos and said that they didn't like them or they made them feel uncomfortable. But 9 times out of 10, whenever you heard anybody talk about Jenna, it was like our unproblematic queen. And she said, like, that makes me feel uncomfortable because I know it's not true. Because I know in the past I did things that were insensitive and that were rude and that are not funny. And people were like, everybody bullied her off. This is what happens, cancellation culture. And while in my head, I thought from what she presented, it was a bit of an extreme to say, like, I might never come back to YouTube. That was her decision. Like, that was on her. And if she wanted a break, don't use her after over 10 years of being on this platform and being looked at constantly and idolized and looked up to and like always having eyes on her. Don't use her wanting a break from that to justify not calling other people out, if that makes any sense. Myra said, I've seen a popular TikToker who acknowledged that he used to say the N-word. They explained that that's what their upbringing was like, but they stopped, but no one called him out, and they may not. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you don't have the same upbringing as everybody else, because I can fully understand somebody growing up hearing that word being used all the time and thinking that it was normal to say it, or thinking that like this is what people say, this is a normal thing. And then when you break away from that, or when somebody educates you, or when you decide to like look into it, being like, oh shoot, that's not okay, and moving on. But I think it's hard when there are so many different ways you can grow up, like to really understand or to even believe what people say. Because that's the thing, people lie all the time about it. Tana Mojo, like, straight up, duh, she said, like, I just thought it was homie, I thought it meant friend, but then you see her video, like, you see videos of her using it as an insult. And so it's like, if I say, I think the word dude means friend, like, and I say, oh, what's up, dude, like, hey, dude, what's up, and I'm talking to my friend like that, I'm not gonna call my friend a stupid dude, right? Like, it doesn't line up. And so you never know who's being genuine. You never know who is like actually telling you the truth about, this is just what I thought was normal, I didn't know, and now I know, so I don't use it. And who is just trying to cover up for it. Because I had a conversation with Kaylin, I think it was, on Instagram about how like some people grow up just in a very diverse area, or just with people who are very vocal about the fact that that word's not okay. But personally, like in my life, I don't remember ever hearing that word as a kid. I never grew up hearing it. I never, like, if I heard it, it did not register. I did not hear that word until high school. If I'm remembering right, I did not hear that word until high school. And so many people have these different experiences, and it's hard to know who's being genuine and who's not, because we're all so different. Myra said, you think there may not be any videos of it, so I think the best way to deal with it is to just acknowledge you've been problematic in the past before they get exposed. Yeah, that might be just like the best way to go, is if you have something like on your conscience that you're waiting to get exposed, instead of just like worrying about it and being like, man, I hope they don't find it, what am I gonna say if they find something like it? Just expose yourself. Just straight up be like, before somebody says this for me, I want you to know that I made this mistake in the past and it's been weighing on me, so I want to be straightforward. But that takes a lot of integrity, and it takes a lot of courage, I think, to like put yourself out there in a way that people might not be receptive to. So I don't know. Kaylin said we should make a pie chart of all the different justifications people use in their apology videos. That would be really funny. Somebody should actually make that. Siobhan said the bigger a star you are, the smaller the microscope is. There's more eyes searching for as much about you as possible. That's true. Absolutely. Druggy Web said, understand where you are coming from, but sometimes some racists don't show their true colors because it's quote-unquote different times, so the old videos help. Sorry, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. The thing that, like, I was saying, because I think if it supports who they are now, like, if you're using it as evidence, like with Shane Dawson, how people were saying you're associated with Jeffree Star, who is a racist, so you must be okay with racism. Like, you must be okay with negative language towards people of color and black people. Like, that tracks. And then people went back and found stuff to support it and say, of course he's okay with it because this is what he did in the past. But for me, I'm like, I don't know what prompts somebody to like search for specific things about somebody in the past. Like with Laura and Jeffrey, like with that whole situation, people weren't calling them racist. People were mad at them for subtweeting Jeffrey. And then they went back to look for racist stuff. So, like, I don't, like, to me that just doesn't ever occur. Like, I understand why people do it, I guess, but it would just never be something that would pop into my head of, these influencers are in a fight. Let me see if I can find if they ever made a joke with this word in it or that word or that phrase, if that makes sense. Oscar said Tana's just an entire mess. For real. Chantal said, I'm in the same boat as you be. I never heard it growing up at all. Never. Like, and I will 1000% acknowledge that I lived a very sheltered life. Child of two pastors. Like, yeah, I lived a very sheltered life. And so there are a lot of things that I never knew, never heard, never had, like, any interaction. Like, there were a lot of things that I was just completely unaware of because I was very sheltered growing up. But, like, if you don't know my life story, you wouldn't know that. You would just assume that, like, my life story probably aligns somewhat with yours because that's how we relate to people, is by how they're similar to us. And we just kind of fill in the gaps sometimes without knowing. So I just think it's so, like, that's something that I am so interested in, is, like, how every individual has a completely different story. I'm not going to get into it because I'll, like, go off the deep end talking about it. But, like, everybody is living a completely different life than you. Even if you're very similar to somebody, even if you're best friends with somebody, even if you live with somebody every day, like, they have a completely different story than you. It's wild. AWOL said they weaponize it. People who do that don't actually care about racism, at least most of the times. If they cared, they wouldn't stand Jeffree Star. For real. Oscar said, shout out to religious parents who aren't toxic. I'm literally, like, I got so lucky with my parents being religious, but also, like, having the understanding that, like, they don't know everything, and, like, being open to new things and just continuing to, like, learn as they get older. Because I know a lot of people who are older are just not that my parents are old, but, like, as you get into adulthood, you get kind of, like, stuck in your ways of some things. But, like, that's something I admire about my parents, is we went from a very small town in the Midwest to Arizona, and a lot of the communities that we were in were still very, like, church-based, but it is more diverse where we live here, and, like, it was never any sort of problem. Like, there was never any sort of, we don't like this kind of person, we don't like that type of person. And they've continued to expand and grow and, like, learn about new people and new things. And, like, that is something that I definitely admire about them. They're really great. I love my parents. Meg said, Twitter also breeds a need for immediate gratification and public humiliation. There isn't much in the way of forgiveness or returning so far. Yeah, that is a really great point. Druggy Vibe said, honestly, I think Jeffree looked up the old Twitter to cancel them. Could be. He always talks about how he, like, has receipts on everybody, and they know to keep their mouth shut. Oscar said, we love that. We really do. Like, I've heard stories from people that are just, like, would blow your mind about people, like, claiming, you guys know, you guys have had interactions with, like, toxic religious people, you know, I don't gotta tell you, but when I think about it, sometimes it blows my mind. Lisa said, I live in a crazy diverse city in California, and it's used by black and brown people towards each other, so I could understand if it's picked up by others, but never with a hard R. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not my word to use, so take everything I say with a grain of salt about it, but I can understand the idea for certain people that when they are using it within the context of their community and the way that their peers use it, I can see them thinking that it's acceptable. Like, I can understand that happening. But when people say, like, Tana, oh, I thought it meant homie, and then she comes at you with a hard R, is like, did you though? Courtney said, I've never said the N-word, but I was exposed to it constantly by other Wonder Bread individuals when I was younger. And being in Alabama, people of color, women, LGBT, etc. are constantly under fire. It's very toxic. Yeah. And unfortunately, that does happen. There are still communities that are just, like, it makes you really wonder, like, what goes through their head. I was talking about this with my sister and, like, her husband and my husband. What were we talking about? I don't know. Like, the general topic was, like, racism in America. I can't remember exactly what it was we were specifically talking about, but we were talking about how, like, in Texas, they still have sundown towns where there will literally be, like, signs in the town that say, like, don't let the sun set on your black butt. Like, where it's literally not safe for black people or gay people or, like, even people of color, trans people, or people with disabilities to be in that town after dark. It is insane to me that those places are allowed to exist, and there are people who want to live in a place like that. It is horrifying. Potato McGee said, in the town I grew up in, everyone was pretty understanding towards others, but the town also wasn't super diverse, so they never actually had to show how they would act towards different people. Yeah, and that is a totally different thing. Like, it's one thing to say, like, oh, I love everybody, I don't care about this thing, I don't care about that thing, but then when you're actually presented with an opportunity to, like, walk your walk, sometimes the flip scripts a little bit. Oscar said, my grandma's a toxic religious person who hates my guts, so I always appreciate when someone's religious and also not a POS. I'm so sorry. That sucks. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I'm sorry that your grandma is a toxic religious person, because that's just so hurtful. And, like, that's somebody in your family who's supposed to love you no matter what. Not only, like, having an issue like that with somebody in your family, but also somebody who claims to be religious. That's the thing I don't get, is when I'm not gonna have a whole spiel about it, but people who are religious, at least Christianity, at least like the way I believe, people who are religious are supposed to be the most loving people. Like, they are supposed to want to follow the person that they claim to believe in. That, you know, Christians claim to believe in Jesus and follow the way that Jesus lived when he was on earth. Like, that is what the whole aim is supposed to be. And yet you're gonna be one of the most, like, hateful people. Not saying your grandma is, but, like, some religious people are judgmental, they're rude, they're selfish, they won't help a friend. Like, how does that track? How did you get that from the stories in your Bible? It doesn't make sense to me. It's fine, she's a horrible person. I'm so sorry. That sucks. That's the worst. But, alright, now that we have talked... Oh, what I was going to say, because we got on a totally different conversation about Laura Lee. What I was going to say about Laura Lee is she put out a video yesterday talking about her brand, because her brand launched right around the same time that all that Dramageddon happened, and she is coming out with a new launch tomorrow at, like, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And she had this conversation about how she, like, resented her brand a lot, and, like, she was so excited about it, but because of all the drama and because of, like, the life transition of going from, you know, just being her and her husband to having a child and, like, having to take Aaron to school and, like, all this stuff, she's like, there was just so much negativity and so much change and, like, things that prevented me from being able to really focus in on this one thing that I was starting this project of. And she became really resentful of her brand, but now, like, she was gonna give up on it, and now she's decided that, like, she started it because she loved it and she loves making makeup, and so she's gonna keep doing it, and she's really excited about it. And I guess, I don't know, like this is the first kind of like big thing I've heard from her in a while, so I wanted to know what you guys thought about her and if you were gonna buy anything. I don't know if a ton of you guys are like super into makeup, because I know that I like to talk about the beauty community a lot just because there are a lot of good conversations to have, but I do not wear makeup like 9 out of 10 days, like 9 times out of 10, 6 out of 7 days of the week. So that was kind of what I wanted to like get to. Like, have you guys forgiven her enough to where if you like makeup, you would buy it, or are we just kind of like, we don't really care? No, Oscar said, wait, had she not really made videos until recently? She was making, like, videos, but they're all just very much, like, chill, hanging out with her niece, like, trying on different clothes, redecorating her house. Like, everything's very chill, but this is one of her first, like, big launches for her brand in a long time. Alright, I'm gonna go up and see what you guys are saying. Potato McGee said, speaking of grandmas, mine is becoming so racist as she gets older, which is weird because she was always getting mad at my grandpa for making comments like that when I was younger. Oh, that's not the greatest change to see. I'm sorry that you're having to experience that. That's uncomfortable. When your, like, grandparents make comments and you're like, even if it's not about, like, race, even if you're disagreeing with a grandparent, I'm always somebody who's like, just let them be. They know. They respect your elders. But sometimes you gotta check them and you gotta say, hey, why would you say that? Courtney said, my parents have been raised with such an obscure lens of what the South represents for white people, and though they try to understand me and my siblings, their ignorance and stubbornness comes through. Yeah, and I'm sorry you're having to deal with that, too. That's a very common thing for a lot of people. Like, I know a lot of people my age who have had to, like, educate their parents on things because they grew up in a completely different town or a completely different way of life where different things are normal, and you have to, like, re-educate them that these things aren't okay. I know this is what you grew up with, but we gotta nip it in the bud. Myra said, some people just use religion as a catch-all excuse for being ignorant. So true. Ooh, love that. AWOL said, my grandma's becoming more open-minded as she gets older, which I know is abnormal, but I like it. Love that. Oscar said, I swear to God, older people are either the absolute best or the worst. There's no in-between. Either you love them or you're just like, I'd love to leave right now. Chantel said, I wish I had the confidence to not wear makeup. Well, I'm sure you look great with makeup, and I'm sure you look great without, and whatever you feel comfortable doing, you should do. Like, I don't like when people pressure people to wear makeup or to not wear makeup. Do whatever makes you feel good. Do whatever makes you feel happy. That's what I like to do. And what makes me happy is not having to wash my face for 15 minutes before I go to bed because I'm not using makeup wipes. And I'm using this weak cleanser to get all the makeup off, and then I wash it with my regular soap, and then there's still black underneath my eyes, and it's annoying. And so I just don't wear it. Siobhan said, love makeup, have no money, will not buy. Fair enough. South of Grace said, in the days of COVID, 9 out of 10 days for a week feels accurate even if it isn't. Literally, like, I fully acknowledge that I am so blessed. I have not lost my job because of COVID. I am able to work from home. I am able to, like, stay inside as much as possible. But it's wearing on me. I'm getting to a point where I'm just like, we've lost a lot of time because of this, and I am not keeping track of it well. So I am very blessed, but I'm also going through it a little bit. Shannon McGee said, I don't wear makeup enough to want to purchase something she comes out with. That is totally fair enough. Kaylin said, I love makeup, but I try to be as minimal with my collection as possible, so swipe left on Laura Lee. Yeah, I recently like whittled down a ton of my makeup. I like a lot of it was old, so I just threw it away, but some of it was like gently used. So I this was mm, like this is before COVID hit Arizona. Because I was gonna say like I was safe about it, but I'm like at this point I didn't have to be safe about it. I just gave it to my sister and my mom and said, "Here, use it if you want." But now if I were to do that now, I would literally have to sanitize it. Ugh. I love this so much. Global pandemic. It's great. Oscar said, I'll call out my grandma. I don't care. You're funny. I'm just somebody who, like, if I can avoid, I will. And so 9 times out of 10, I'll just be like, But then when you hit that point where I'm like, hold up, we gotta have a conversation. But I'm so, like, anti-confrontational. Chantal said I'm broke, so I can't buy it. If I could afford it, I would likely still not buy it. I'm not really interested. That's funny. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of how everything is with Laura Lee at this point. Like, in watching her now, I think it's really cool seeing her be, like, a mom figure to Aaron. Because, I mean, obviously Aaron's old enough to know that, like, Laura and Tyler are her aunt and uncle. She knows who her mom is. She's in high school. But they adopted her, so technically she's her mom. And so seeing her come into that role has been really cool. And I feel like if I wore makeup and if I wore it enough and I saw something that I really, really liked, I would be open to buying it. I'm at the point where I wouldn't feel bad supporting her, if that makes sense. Like, if she came out with something really, really cool and I wanted it, I'd consider it. Hey guys, said I want to love makeup, but I am way too uncoordinated to do the fancy stuff. Same. I cannot do a wing liner to save my life. And I used to wear makeup like every single day from junior high to like sophomore year of college. Maybe even junior? No, like sophomore year of college. Like every day was wearing makeup, and I still cannot. I just can't do it. Oscar said like a clear lip gloss. Love a clear lip gloss. And if it's scented, that's everything. I still haven't found a root beer scented one that I can get because obviously not getting the Shane Dawson one. I knew that's what you were getting at, Oscar. I want it. I want a clear lip gloss that is scented like root beer, but I haven't found it. And I'm like, I went through a bunch of those like on the Twitter. Am I 1,000? You know how on Twitter they have like the support a black owned business like thread where it has a bunch of different black owned businesses? I like went through a ton of threads, couldn't find one. I Googled it, couldn't find one. I was like, black owned business, root beer scented lip gloss, root beer lip gloss, black owned makeup. I went on Etsy, nothing. Thank you, Oscar. You looked, Oscar said, I looked for you for a while. I could not find it. I've just given up on the dream, but it's fine. It's fine. I've given up on it. I saw Kiki Chanel said that there was this Glossier, like, cake batter lip gloss, whatever. She said it was really good. I might get that instead. It's whatever. Potato McGee said if she put out a range of eyeliners, I'd consider buying something from her. Yeah. I think eyeliners are cool. I just literally can't do them. So I have like 2 eyeliners and that's it. Myra said, I have a small makeup collection and I'm running out of some stuff. If Laura Lee's makeup is good quality for the price, I'll consider buying it. Can never say that about Jeffree Star. Don't care how good it is. Yeah. I'm totally with you on that. Tues McPhee said, I'm getting crow's feet and I'm so sad that wing liner doesn't work the same. Wear sunscreen, y'all. Ooh. Yeah. Siobhan? Cry liners. You guys are so funny. I can't stand it. But yeah, sunscreen is important, you guys. Wear it. For sure. I, like, literally never cared about sunscreen as a kid. But now I've gotten like a permanent, because I got a really bad sunburn like 2 years ago, and I have a permanent tan line on my back. And so now every time if I'm going out for like 30 minutes in the sun, I will put on sunscreen. Oscar said, I used to wear black eyeliner in my waterline in high school. Oh, I used to too. That's a rough look. Hey guys said, try finding small businesses through TikTok because there's a whole community out there for making lip gloss. Ooh, I will ask somebody else who has TikTok to do that, because I don't, like, I have a TikTok, but I think I deleted that. No, I still have the app. Do I? I don't know. For like 2-3 days, I was like trying to get into TikTok, and I realized that it would just be such a time waster. So I've told myself that I can't go on TikTok. And I know it'll be. Like, I know if I go on it, I'll get obsessed and it will be all I will do. And I'm trying to remain productive. So I'm going to ask somebody that I know. I'm going to ask my friend's kid who has TikTok to look for me. Oh, no. Caitlin said, eyeliner on the waterline and spidery mascara was my look in 6th grade. My look in junior high was, you know, that CoverGirl like powder that came with like a puff on it, and it was like thick and orange. I would powder that up all over me. I would put on the eyeliner in the waterline and on top, and then mascara and like nothing else, maybe like a little silver shadow, but it was rough. It was it was bad. And I like did this thing with my hair where I would braid it really, really tight, and then the next day it would be like crimpy, or I would have bangs like flipped over, you know, the swoop bangs, but they never looked good. Like, they never looked like the emo kids or the scene kids. It was never that good. It was just like greasy, because I was 13 and I was a ball of grease, and so it would be just greasy bangs across my forehead. I'm having flashbacks. Okay, moving on. Moving on to Ryland's statement. Give me a thumbs up if you saw Ryland's statement, a thumbs up emoji, and if you have seen it, a thumbs down emoji if you have not. Siobhan said, no eyebrows, no planting, no good. I was very lucky. I did not, like, get my eyebrows super, super thin. My main thing was not wanting to have a unibrow. So I always made sure I was good here, but like the sides were running amok. Hey, well, crimped hair. Yeah, I would so tight, and then you could just see little doot, doot, doot. Oh, Potato McGee said, I did the braid crimp too. I'm so embarrassed for middle school me. Oscar said, I had very curly, frizzy hair. It was bad. Middle school's just hard. It was tough for all of us. Chantel said, I wore the eyeliner thick when I was a teen, but I only did the bottom line, and it was just off. You just have this thick thing right here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as for the Ryland statement, a lot of you are saying, like, yes, no, it's kind of mixed. Kaylin said, thumbs up, but I got bored halfway through. Hey guys said, I still do that braid thing sometimes. I'm sure it looks great on you, but it just was not my look. Like, if you guys do what you want with your hair, do what you want with your face. If you feel good in it, it's beautiful. But it did not look good on me. I did not have the face for it. Not a fan. Sadly Grace said, we all know I didn't watch it. I don't get any drama except from you. Fair enough. Siobhan said raccoon, but make it fashion. That's so funny. Okay. So some of you guys are saying you watched it through somebody else. You didn't want to give him the view. Okay. Yeah. So basically, Ryland's response, somebody else said it was like what I expected. Courtney said it's what I expected. Yeah. Like, literally, It was what I expected, because what is he gonna say? What do you realistically expect Ryland Adams to say on camera about the person that he is literally engaged to? The person who made him wealthy, who got him, like, to be successful with his own channel, because Ryland was on Clever News before he started dating Shane. So I think he definitely, if he wanted to, like, build his own channel, he definitely could have done it, but Shane, like, fast-tracked him. Yeah, Oscar said, I mean, that's Shane's whole fiance, so, right. Like, I mean, I think it's good that he made a statement, because obviously people are gonna want to hear from you if you're doing a video. Like, if you're coming back to social media, people are gonna want to hear what you have to say. But I don't know that there's anything he could have said that would have made everybody happy. And honestly, like, it was fine. It was fine. It's one of those things where at this point, like, because his whole thing was, like, a lot of these jokes were really offensive to some people, and a lot of the things he said wouldn't be okay, and, like, he's definitely changed. Like, Shane has changed so much even since I've met him, and I've only known him 4 years. Like, the person you see in those videos is different than the person I see every day. That's different than the person I live my life with, and that's fine. But what that tells me is, like, what I already knew, which is you're okay with who Shane is. And the fact that you live with him every day and know about his friendship with Jeffree and support his friendship with Jeffree, it's just further proof. At this point, like, I don't have any sort of, like, hate towards Shane or, like, anger towards Shane. I think the stuff he said and did was gross, but, like, I'm not going to spend my time focusing on it every single day, if that makes sense. Like, at this point, I'm indifferent. I don't like him. I won't watch his content. He can do whatever he wants with his life, but I just won't support him, and I won't support Ryland either, because you're okay with it. And of course I didn't expect him to come out and say, I'm completely disgusted at this, I'm done with Shane, we've broken up, the wedding's off. But coming on and defending him and saying, like, making excuses, essentially. He came on very level-headed, he tried to be very rational, I think. But coming on and saying that and doing that is just like, okay, that's your position, that's fine, I'm not going to watch your content. And unfortunately, the same has to go for Morgan Adams, which, like, I didn't really watch Ryland's content to begin with, but I did watch Morgan, some of her videos, and she essentially defended him too, which, why would you not? That's gonna be your brother-in-law. But, like, you're getting rich off of his back. The only reason you have a platform is because of him, and so of course you're gonna defend him. Of course you don't want any conflict within your family. But being a public figure and being so closely associated with somebody who there's no way from what we've seen that he is friends with Jeffree Star and not saying, at the very least, racially insensitive things or accepting of racially insensitive things. Because, again, Shane's his own person, but you are going to be judged by the people you surround yourself with. That's what it is. Like, that is what I was always taught, and that's what has been shown to me. Like, as I grew up, my mom always said, like, you know, whoever you're going to spend your time with, whoever you're going to be best friends with, going to the mall with, like, hang out with in class, like, that is who you're going to be judged by. So if one of your friends is doing something that's not okay, and you don't say, like, hey, that's inappropriate, hey, that's wrong, hey, that's rude, hey, don't steal that thing. Like, if you don't stand up for what's right, if they get caught, that's on you too, because you knew they were doing something wrong. And that's how I feel about Shane. Even if he's not still at this very moment saying racist things, he's okay with it. He allows it to happen, is my opinion. This coffee is cold. Well, it's not cold, but it's not hot. Don't love it. Oscar said, I'm sad he kind of distanced himself from the clever girls, at least publicly, when he started dating Shane. Yeah, like, I feel like Ryland probably got a completely new life when he started dating Shane. Which makes sense. I mean, Shane's massively famous, massively wealthy, and launched his YouTube channel. Like, he launched Ryland's career, essentially. So, like, I think Ryland could have been successful on his own, and he definitely was. He was on Clever, but to the amount of, like, personal success of people being invested in his life, it would have taken a long time to do that without Shane. Chris said, reminder to like this stream. Thank you, I appreciate it. Myra said none of the jokes Shane made were offensive to him. That's why it's so easy to ignore it. Absolutely. That's so true. Laurel B said, I really hate those mistakes are in the past. They happened in the past. He's a different person now. Everyone has made mistakes. Everyone has stuff in their past they're not proud of. Yeah, I got stuff I'm not proud of, but it's about saying something that hurt a friend's feelings, accidentally revealing spoilers from a show to my sister. Yeah, there's a pretty big difference in making a few mistakes and, like, maybe saying something mean, saying something insensitive, being hurtful, lashing out in anger at somebody, and, like, building your career off of oppression, essentially. Like, there's a pretty big difference. So, Oscar said, that's the best thing you can do, to be honest. Just stop engaging with people whose views don't align with your own. Right. And it's one of those things where it's like, maybe Jeffrey, because, you know, people want to say, like, this person was nice to me. Yeah, because, like, Jeffrey was nice to you because you're white and because he can get something from you. How nice was he to Manny when Manny was just kind of, like, being not the greatest friend and he, like, blasted him publicly? How nice was he when he wanted to, like, call people out and... what was that, Makeup Shayla, is that her name? When he wanted to call her a rat on Instagram story for whatever reason. I honestly think he felt like she was, like, a legitimate competition to him. And so that's why he made up the story with Mar, and he said that, like, Makeup Shayla had told her that she needed fillers and that her face was crooked when that was not the conversation at all. Like, was that nice? Was that kind? Is that the type of person that you want to align yourself with? Because you can be the nicest person to me in the entire world, but if I hear you calling somebody something, or I hear you saying something that I don't agree with, we're going to have a conversation about it at the very least. And if you reveal that that's who you truly are, I'm going to cut you off, or I'm going to distance myself because I don't like that. Like, that's not an energy that I want to be around. And so Shane being okay, even if he is not openly saying racist things at this point, him being okay being friends with Jeffrey shows how he really feels. Chantal said, I would not tolerate someone like that in my life. Exactly. Like, we wouldn't... I don't know. I mean, the stakes are lower for us because it's not risking our career to separate ourselves from people who are racist. Courtney said, I didn't like how he brushed off his tweets towards Tati as inserting himself in the makeup drama when Tati's original video made some serious accusations to a 19-year-old and Shane was involved. Yeah, and I think I've kind of forgotten about that too, like how heavily involved he was in that. Like, when I hear Shane Dawson drama, I automatically go to racist tweets, like racist skits, just overtly being racist, doing blackface, apologizing for it and saying it's so wrong, I didn't know, but it's so wrong now, trust me guys, it's bad. And then 5 years later coming out and saying, when I said that, I never really learned about blackface, I didn't look into it. Like, that's what I go to, and that is just like, that's the foundation of the terrible things he's done, and then it just keeps going and we keep building on it. And most recently, we've got this saying, don't worry, James Charles wouldn't do anything with this devastating blow because he's too narcissistic. Right. Tatum Gee said, I used to love watching Morgan's channel, but I don't think I can continue since her stance was to support Shane. I didn't expect different, but I can't support someone who supports that behavior. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I didn't expect anything different, but it just, you kind of, I feel like, have that hope that they're gonna come out and, like, stand up for what's right, but I know how unrealistic that is. Like, I know how massively their lives have been impacted by having Shane in them. And so you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. Oscar said, I stopped watching Morgan a long time ago for other reasons, so I don't know much about her now. I mean, she seems like a fun girl, but, like, she's not fun enough for me to ignore that. Sunflower said, yeah, I really liked both Ryland and Morgan, but it feels weird watching them both now. It really does. Caitlin said, I don't know what Shane did. How do I find out without looking into their content? Oscar said, look on Twitter, Caitlin. Oh, you guys are so helpful. Yeah, Caitlin, take their suggestions. I didn't read all of them, but I trust what Oscar and AWOL are suggesting to you. And Potato McGee, yeah. You can trust that. Oscar said, him being okay being friends with Blair really sealed it for me a while ago. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know a ton about Blair, but what I've heard, it's not great. It's not the best. Like I said, I don't know a ton about Blair. I don't watch her content. But I did watch her video about Jeffree Star, and I'm like, why are you blasting this alleged voice memo? Like, you're literally playing into his hand. You're putting yourself in something in a way that you don't need to. That just makes you look bad. Like, it makes you look really bad. And from what I've heard, she's kind of, like, toxically conservative, so don't love that. He said, Oscar, I forgot. He said he was friends with Blair. I don't think I realized who she was at the time, but now I do, and honestly, I'm not surprised. Yeah. Laurel said, ex-fans of Shane have come out and spoken about how his behavior made it easier for them to be groomed by other people because he normalized the sexual things he did / talked about with them. That's horrifying. That's really bad. Like, that makes total sense. But man, just like hearing it put so succinctly like that, I believe it. Like, I believe that they looked at this person who they idolized, who was exhibiting this behavior and making it normal for them. And then when they encounter somebody in their real life, like, who has that same behavior, who has even more sinister intentions, it can be very easy to just take to it because that's what you've been essentially indoctrinated into. Sean said Morgan doesn't want to lose her brother. Yeah, and that could be another thing. I mean, that just makes it even more complicated because I get, like, not wanting to speak out against your brother and wanting to support him. But it's just, it's a tough decision. I don't know what I would do. Like, I don't know what I would do. Because here's the thing. Like, I can't even imagine getting to the place where Morgan is at. Because if one of my siblings was dating somebody who was racist, like, I don't think I would have formed a close relationship with them. I wouldn't have formed a friendship with them. So, I don't know. Myra said, I had to stop watching Morgan after seeing how close she was with Tana. Yeah, that was at the point where I I never consistently watched her stuff, but if she put a video out that sounded interesting, I would watch it. But then seeing her, like, go to the ER to urgent care for the ringworm with Tana, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. I mean, I don't, like I said, don't, like, hate her or anything, but I was like, yeah, I'm probably good on watching your content for a while. Sunflower said, I watched Shane a lot when I was 11, 12. Looking back, I can now see how badly that affected me too. I'm so sorry. I I can't imagine what people like you who watched him for a really long time are going through, because I didn't discover Shane until, like, I discovered Shane. I didn't know who Shane was. I didn't really get into YouTube or anything until like 2016. So I've not like been keeping up with YouTube stuff for that long. Liberty, come here. This dog is like scratching on something. I don't know what she's doing. Sorry, guys. Oh, there's your face. There's your face. But yeah, so like, when I learned about the bad things about Shane, it was like, oh wow, like that sucks. That's kind of like, that's gross. That's bad. I don't like that. But I never had to like deal with thinking certain things were normal, or thinking that certain jokes maybe made at my own expense were okay, or like jokes that were predatory were okay, and then going back and realizing like, wait, this gave me a really bad idea about this, or this made me feel bad about this, or I thought that this was okay. And I've seen a lot of people talk about how like people of color or black people talk about how they either didn't like realize at the time when he was making jokes at black people's expense, like they just took them and didn't really like think to question them because Shane was making them and they loved Shane, or they made them uncomfortable. And this is what I've seen more often than not in general about like the time in the early 2000s when, in my experience, when racially insensitive jokes were really going around a lot, and like people like myself at some points, I've gone back and said like humor was different back then, but then black people will say, no, we just weren't heard when we spoke up about it, or we were told not to be so sensitive, and so we ended up staying quiet for a little bit and not confronting you when you said these things. Like, that's what I've seen more often than not. And like having that register in my brain was like, oh my God, I can't imagine. Like, that would be so hard to like find a joke offensive and have it hurt your feelings and like essentially attack your identity, and to be told that you're being sensitive when you don't think it's funny, or to be ignored when you say, I don't like when you say that. Like, it makes me very, very sad to think about. Okay, I'm going back to seeing what you guys are saying. Tana McGee said, there are so many stories of people saying they were groomed after watching Shane's content on the Shane Dawson subreddit, if anyone wants to know more. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into it. Oscar said, when she made that Bird Box video and Molly Burke spoke out on Twitter about how the trend was offensive and she left the video up, really made me feel yikes. I saw that she did the video, but I didn't watch it, and I didn't really see any of the comments about it, but I also don't think I was on Twitter when that happened, which is probably where I would have seen it. But I feel like there have been a few things like that where people have like called Morgan out, and she hasn't really taken like the criticism to heart. I will say, I watch Savannah Marie. She's a YouTuber. She lives in Arizona. And she has like anti-MLM content. And today she posted a video today that had some stuff in it that like I disagreed with her sharing. It was like background check information, and she like, you know, gave the emails but didn't give like the last part, like didn't give the domain, or said like, oh, these associated charges might be legitimate, like I don't know if these are legit or not, but this is coming up on the background check. Just want you to be aware that like these could be related with her. And then there was some other stuff in the video, and I even left a comment. I was like, hey, like I love your content, but I feel like this is kind of risky. Like, I understand that you're putting that information out there so that way people don't go into business with somebody with like a related name or an email that's on this list. Like, they can be on the lookout so they don't get scammed. But this, like, you don't know if this information is legitimate, and it's unverified, and people on the internet can take things really far. And so you know, I just think it's risky. I'd be careful leaving this up here. And a few other people I saw leave similar comments, and she literally took the video down and posted and was like, hey guys, like, I decided to, you know, take this video down. I'm going to edit some stuff out. A lot of you guys really were chill about giving me feedback. You understood my intentions, but you still had some criticism, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. Like, she literally just took people's feedback instead of fighting against it and, like, standing her ground, digging her toes in. And I really appreciate that, and, like, people that I watch on YouTube. Courtney said, Ryland must have so much acceptance and love for Shane and separation from his past to want to have children with him, given what's coming out and who he considers friends, family. Yeah. That is something I am not gonna touch. Siobhan said, what some people who are racist do is slowly start with little jokes and figure out what you're okay with, frog in the boiling water type thing, to see what they can get away with. Yeah, they'll, like, slowly show you, like, who they really are. That's why you gotta nip it in the bud. Adultish said, I only started watching him because of his conspiracy theories, so I never really knew anything about his old content. Yeah, same. Same here. But that was pretty much what I had. That hour and a half really just kind of flew by. So, I mean, if you have any last thoughts on Ryland's statement or anything like that, definitely go ahead and get it in now. Like I said, I'm disappointed but not surprised. Like, I really did not expect anything less, but it just kind of solidifies, okay, I'm no longer going to support content produced by you or related to you or to Morgan. Like, that's just kind of it. Reading your comments about Bird Box. Yeah, I don't know if the tweet is still a potato, but I remember her saying she didn't like it. And then Oscar said, listen to minorities, y'all. Yeah, if, like, that's something that I just don't understand. And I was watching an As Told by Kenya video. That kind of, like, yeah, it kind of went over this. Like, people who are taking, like, white people who are taking AAVE, or, like, it used to be called Ebonics, like, Black American English, like, their words, their phrases, their language, how they interact with each other, white people taking it, and black people saying, like, I feel uncomfortable when you use my language, and white people wanting to say that it's, like, Stan language or Stan Twitter language. It's like, if a person tells you that something you are doing is offensive or hurtful or damaging, and they are part of a group that this could be hurtful or damaging to, listen to them. Why would you say, no, it's not? Like, the audacity. Hey guys, said a lot of people have been saying that Garrett leaving was a big red flag for them. Yeah, I mean, he left a little bit. He left quite a while ago. I mean, I really liked Garrett, but I think something that's interesting with Shane is, like, his non-problematic friends don't stick around for very long. The friend that he's had for the longest amount of time is Trisha Paytas. What does that really say? You know? Kaylin said, is Garrett Watts involved? I used to watch him the most, and these are his friends. I don't really think they're friends. Like, they used to be friends, obviously. They used to do what I really liked was, like, the Spooky Boys videos with Drew Monson, Garrett, and Shane. But at some point, Drew, I think he kind of goes through his own personal, like, mental health things, and so sometimes he's on YouTube, sometimes he's not. He's, like, dealing with that, but Garrett just kind of vanished, so I don't really think he's involved, and I think it is kind of telling that Garrett's really not very problematic, and he didn't last long in the little group. Tatum McGee said Ryland's statement wasn't the worst. I just wish it wasn't included in a sponsored video. Oh my gosh. I only watched that part at the beginning where he talks about Shane. Good for him. Good for him. Kona said Garrett did one collab with Shane and J-Star, and J-Star just made creepy sexual jokes toward Garrett the entire time. After that, Garrett didn't come around anymore from my observation. Jeez. Alright. Well, that's all I've got for you guys. Yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. If you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be great. Thank you for having these awesome, in-depth, open-minded conversations with me. I think it's awesome. I really enjoy them. And some of you guys say, oh my, Siobhan. Siobhan said, boundaries crew. Have a safe night, y'all. Yep, we're the boundaries crew, you guys. I'm going to take that. I'm going to use it. But a lot of you guys say that you like don't get notifications when I'm going live from YouTube, or you miss them by a few minutes. I do typically announce that I'm going to be going live about an hour before I do it on Twitter. My Twitter handle is in the description box right now, so if you want to follow that, go subscribe to me on there. You will get an announcement. If you have your notifications turned on here, you should be getting it, but we all know that YouTube doesn't always do it. So if you want to follow me there, that would be great, and then you won't miss the lives and you'll be on time. And that's really more for people who are watching the re-upload of this, not you guys, because obviously you're here. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. One last thing, next Tuesday is the second Tuesday of the month, so if you've been thinking about joining the Off Limits crew, it's $1.99 per month. You get access to an exclusive live stream the second Tuesday of every month with me and with our little group. We get an exclusive section of the community tab to hang out on, so if you want to do that, definitely feel free to join. It should be down by the subscribe button, but I will put a link in a pinned comment just in case. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.